You're not being ignored because you're not beautiful. You're being overlooked because you've forgotten your power. Say this and watch him rise to meet your worth or fall trying. Ladies, you were not born to beg for love. You were born to be respected, valued, and treated like royalty. But the world won't hand you a throne. You must command it. In this video, I'm going to give you 6 powerful phrases that shift the dynamic instantly. These aren't manipulations. They're truths that awaken the king in a man or reveal that he was never one. I don't chase, I attract. These words are more than a mantra. They are a philosophy, a declaration of inner worth, and a psychological reset that redefines how a woman views herself in relation to men. Most women are conditioned, through society, media, even their upbringing, to believe they must do more to get more, smile more, be more agreeable, be less intimidating, shrink themselves, tone down their truth. But the truth is, the more you contort yourself for approval, the more you disconnect from your true power. When a woman begins to internalize the truth that she is not here to chase, but to attract, everything shifts. It's not about arrogance or manipulation. It's about coming home to the reality that your value does not increase based on the opinions of others. It is intrinsic, unshakable, and absolute. Men, by nature, are drawn to purpose. They want to earn what they value. When something is handed to them without effort, it often becomes invisible to them. So what a woman chases, over pursues, over initiates, constantly seeks validation or makes herself hyper available, she unintentionally sends a message. I don't believe I am the prize. And subconsciously, he begins to believe it too. Attraction starts in the energy you carry. It's in your posture, your tone, your boundaries, your silences, your standards. When you say, I don't chase, you are reclaiming your time, your dignity, and your emotional labor. You are reminding yourself and him that the throne does not move for anyone who refuses to rise. Too many women waste precious years on men who only value access, not intimacy. These men love the chase, not the woman. And when the chase ends, so does their interest. But when a woman stops chasing, she steps into a different kind of frequency, a frequency of wholeness. She no longer sees herself as lacking or needing to be completed by someone else. She becomes emotionally self-sufficient. And from that place of fullness, she magnetizes partners who are also whole, who are not looking for someone to fix or fill a void, but someone to build with. This phrase also disrupts the cycle of codependency. Women who chase often do so out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear that if they don't make the first move, love will never come. But real love is not rooted in fear. It is grounded in mutual recognition. A man cannot see your worth if you're too busy trying to convince him of it. You cannot be both the queen and the court jester performing for his attention. You must pick one. And when you choose the role of the queen, you stop running toward anyone who isn't already walking toward you. In relationships, polarity matters. Masculine energy is drawn to the challenge of earning respect, of proving capability, of stepping into leadership. When a woman constantly initiates, she unconsciously robs a man of the opportunity to step up. She masculates not with her strength, but with her desperation. I don't chase isn't about passivity. It's about positioning. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right things from a place of security. You work on your purpose, your peace, your personal evolution. You become so grounded in your own life that love becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate. It's also important to recognize that saying, I don't chase, doesn't mean you never show interest. It means your interest is a reflection of self-respect, not self-abandonment. You can be warm, open, kind. You can respond, but you don't pursue validation. You can appreciate effort, but never beg for it. The moment you feel like you're forcing it, chasing it, proving yourself, that's your sign to stop. Let him lead. Let him earn it. If he doesn't, it's not because you weren't worthy. It's because he wasn't. A woman who says, I don't chase, and means it becomes a mirror. She reflects back to a man what he needs to rise into. Some will retreat, intimidated by her certainty. Others will lean in, drawn by the rare, quiet power she exudes. But either way, she wins, because she refuses to lower herself for the comfort of someone else's weakness. She speaks from conviction, not confusion. And that energy is unforgettable. So if you've ever felt like love keeps slipping through your hands, like you're giving more than you're getting, like you're always initiating and rarely receiving, it's time to pause. It's time to return to the truth. You are the magnet, not the metal. You are the lighthouse, not the ship chasing every storm. You are the queen, and the queen does not beg to be noticed. She is noticed because she walks in her value. She is remembered because her energy leaves a mark, and she is loved, not because she chases, but because she stands still long enough for the right man to find her. First, she is live it, I don't chase, I attract. And everything changes from there. I'm not available for anything less than I give. This isn't just a powerful boundary. It's a complete paradigm shift. It is a line drawn in the sand between self-worth and self-betrayal. When a woman says, I'm not available for anything less than I give, she's not just demanding fairness. She's declaring the end of her emotional poverty. She's saying goodbye to one-sided love stories, breadcrumbing, emotional labor without reciprocity, and all the subtle ways she's been taught to accept the bare minimum while giving the absolute most. I will no statement is a spiritual contract. I will no longer invest in relationships that bankrupt me. For far too long, many women have worn their selflessness as a badge of honor. They pour and pour, hoping that one day the man in front of them will realize their value and return the favor. They mistake effort for love, sacrifice for connection, and endurance for compatibility. But you allow is what will continue. If you give your heart, your time, your wisdom, your loyalty, and receive excuses, silence, or emotional crumbs in return, what you are participating in is not a relationship. It is an emotional transaction where only one party is paying the. When you say, I'm not available for anything less than I give, you flip the entire script. You're not coming from a place of entitlement, but of balance. You recognize that you are a source of deep value. Your love is not cheap. Your energy is not disposable. Your time is not to be wasted. You are a woman who shows up with her whole heart, her full presence, her consistent care, and anyone who steps into your space must come with the same level of emotional. This is not about keeping score. It's not about tit for tat. It's about spiritual alignment. It's about emotional equity. A queen doesn't demand a crown from a man. She brings her own. But she also knows that she will not share her throne with someone who treats royalty like a convenience. If he wants to stay in your life, he must bring more than potential. He must bring peace, presence, and participation. Anything less is not love. It's a liability. Saying this phrase out loud, especially to someone who has been taking you for granted, is like breaking a generational curse. It reclaims all the years of overgiving. It heals the little girl inside you who was taught to please and appease to be worthy of love. It tells your future self, I've raised the standard and I will not lower it to keep someone who can't rise. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. When you stop being available for inconsistency, mixed signals, low effort, and emotional laziness, you create space for a different kind of man. A man who sees you not as a convenience, but as a commitment. And not just in words, but in actions. He calls when he says he will. He listens when you speak. He doesn't just want access to your body. He desires access to your mind, your spirit, your dreams. That kind of man exists. But he will never show up while you're busy entertaining someone who only texts when it's convenient. And let's be clear, this standard isn't just for romantic relationships. It applies to every area of your life. Friendships, family, work. If you're the one always reaching out, always initiating, always adjusting, pause, ask yourself, is this mutual? Is this healthy? Is this respectful? Because once you begin living by this phrase, your world will shift. Some people will fall away, and they should. They were never truly connected, only attached to your others will rise, will match, will show up, and they will thrive in the space your boundaries create. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be loving and still say this isn't enough. You can be compassionate without becoming a doormat. Your softness is your strength, but your standards are your armor. And when you pair the two, you become unstoppable. The most powerful love stories are not built on compromise at the cost of your soul. They are built on mutual elevation, on two people who give not because they're afraid of losing the other, but because they see each other, value each other, and honor each other. That kind of love can only find you when you say, I'm no longer available for anything less than I give. Say it, believe it, live it, and the energy around you will shift. You won't have to beg, chase, or prove. You'll simply attract what aligns and walk away from what doesn't. Because a queen who knows her worth never bargains with it. No is a complete sentence. There is a quiet kind of power in this phrase. It's not loud, doesn't scream, it doesn't explain, it doesn't ask for permission. It simply is. And that is why it holds so much strength. For too long, women have been taught that saying no needs justification, that they must soften their boundaries so others won't feel uncomfortable, that they should add a smile, an apology, or a nervous laugh to their rejection, as if their discomfort is a crime and their needs a coat of sugar just to be heard. But when a woman learns to say no with clarity and calm, without anger, without apology, without over-explaining, she becomes dangerous in the most beautiful way, because she has exited the game of people-pleasing, the game of shrinking herself, the game of making others comfortable while quietly bleeding from the inside. She has chosen herself. And in that choice, she finds her true voice. No is the boundary that protects your peace. It's the gate that guards your energy. It's the declaration that you will not be moved by guilt, pressure, or manipulation. Saying no is not cruel. It's not selfish. It's necessary. Because every time you say yes to something that dishonors you, you say no to yourself. And eventually, that self-betrayal catches up. It shows up in resentment, in burnout, in emotional, in losing yourself piece by piece. When you say no, you are not shutting someone out. You are choosing what you will allow in. And that is a sacred act. Not everyone deserves your time. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every man deserves your body, your love, or your emotional labor. No is the filter through which you protect your value. It is not a wall. It's a gate. And you have every right to control who walks through it. It's especially critical in relationships. Many women find themselves in dynamics where they tolerate behavior they hate, agree to things that violate their standards, and stay quiet to avoid conflict. Why? Because they fear rejection. They fear abandonment. They fear being labeled as difficult, cold, or too much. But here's the truth. If your role causes someone to walk away, let them. They were never honoring you. They were using your silence as permission. A man who respects you will respect your no. He won't guilt you. He won't push your boundaries. He won't take your refusal as a challenge to conquer. He will understand that your autonomy is a part of your strength. And if he can't handle your no, he's not mature enough for your yes. It's important to know that saying no doesn't require you to be rude or dismissive. You can be direct and still be graceful. You can close a door without slamming it. But make no mistake, your no does not need a paragraph. It doesn't need a 10-minute explanation. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. The moment you begin to require others to understand your boundaries in order to respect them, you've already lost power. They don't need to agree with your, they just need to accept it. This principle applies everywhere. In dating, in family dynamics, in friendships, at work. The more you practice saying no, the more natural it becomes. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You might feel guilty. But keep going. That guilt is not truth. It's just old programming. And each time you override it with clarity, you're building a new foundation, one based on self-honor. Because at the end of the day, you're not responsible for managing everyone's feelings. You're responsible for protecting your energy. You're not required to say yes to things that steal your joy, disrespect your boundaries, or leave you feeling empty. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to sit this one out. You're allowed to say, no, that doesn't work for me. And let that be the end of the sentence. Remember, a woman who honors her no is a woman who will not be broken by pressure or sweet-talked into self-neglect. She is clear, she is grounded, and she is powerful. Let your no be your armor and your freedom. Let it echo with certainty, and let it remind the world that your life, your body, your time, your love are not up for negotiation. They are sacred. They are yours, and they are protected by the strength of one simple word. If you want access to me, earn it. The single sentence changes the entire relationship dynamic. It communicates value, self-respect, and an unshakable sense of identity. It is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget, because you know your worth and you refuse to hand yourself over to someone who hasn't proven they deserve a seat at table. It means you understand that access to your time, your attention, your emotional availability, your presence. It's not free. It's not handed out like a sample at a grocery store. It's earned by effort, consistency, and character. Too often, women confuse availability with connection. They think that by giving more, being more accessible, and constantly being present, they're building something meaningful. But what they're often doing unknowingly is allowing themselves to be consumed without commitment. Access becomes expectation. Presence becomes taken for granted. And man begins to assume that he doesn't need to work to keep her interest, her attention, or her heart. That's when the disrespect begins. That's when he starts to pull away, to test boundaries, to offer less, because he never had to give more to begin with. Saying, if you want access to me, earn it, sends a message not just to the man, but to yourself. It declares that your energy is sacred, your time is precious, and your attention is a reward. You're not someone he can call at midnight when he's bored. You're not a placeholder between real intentions. You're not a therapy session for someone unwilling to do his own healing. You are a woman of substance, and anything less than intentional pursuit is no longer welcome. This doesn't mean you become guarded or cold. It means you become discerning. You observe a man's actions more than his words. You notice the how, not just the what. Does he follow through? Does he initiate? Does he ask meaningful questions? Does he respect your time? Does he show up, and not just once, but consistently? Because anyone can act right for a moment, but real character shows over time. And if he's not putting in the effort to understand you, to grow with you, to earn your trust, then why should he have access to the most intimate parts of you? This also applies emotionally. Too many women give emotional access too soon. They vent, explain, over-communicate, trying to build connection with someone who hasn't earned the right to really know them. Vulnerability is powerful, yes, but only when it's protected. You do not owe your story to every man who shows you attention. You do not owe your emotions to someone just because they ask. Sharing yourself is a privilege, not a default. You don't need to beg someone to be consistent. You don't have to coach a man into treating you right. If he wants to be in your life, he will show you. Not just say it, not just imply it when it's convenient, but demonstrate it with action, with integrity, with presence. And if he won't do that, then he doesn't get access, period. This boundary isn't about being unapproachable. It's about being unforgettable. You set the standard so high that only the real ones make it through. You no longer entertain half-hearted gestures, late-night texts with no follow-up, let's chill dates with no purpose, or hot and cold energy. You don't fall for effort once. You fall for consistency always. And understand this. Access doesn't just mean time spent. It also means emotional influence. If you let someone who hasn't earned your trust speak into your mind, affect your peace, or shake your confidence. You've already given away too much. Guard your heart. Protect your spirit. Not everyone deserves to have influence over how you feel about yourself. So let this become your filter. Has he earned this? Has he earned your presence, your softness, your loyalty, your vulnerability? If the answer is no, then what are you offering him that he hasn't earned? And why? When you truly live by this principle, your life becomes quieter, but more powerful. You'll have fewer people around you, but the ones who stay will be real, present, and intentional. You'll be misunderstood by some, but respected by many. And most importantly, you'll feel peace, because you'll know that anyone who has access to you is there not by chance, not by accident, but because they earned it. If you want access to me, earn it, and don't just say it. Live it every day, in every interaction, in every decision, because a woman who guards her access protects her kingdom, and a man who values her will honor every gate he walks through. I choose peace over potential. This is one of the most liberating decisions a woman can make in her life. It's a commitment to mental and emotional well-being over the fantasy of what someone could be versus what they truly are in the present moment. Too many women spend years, sometimes entire relationships, holding on to the potential of someone, clinging to the idea that if only he could change, if only he could evolve, if only he would step into the version of himself she envisions, then everything would be okay. But what often happens is that in the pursuit of potential, a woman loses herself. She compromises her peace for a possibility that is not grounded in reality. Choosing peace over potential means recognizing that the present moment is all you truly have. It's about making the conscious decision to release the hope that someone else's growth, maturity, or change will fulfill your need for love, respect, and stability. It means prioritizing your inner harmony, your mental clarity, and your emotional safety over the uncertainty of waiting for someone else to meet you halfway. It's about letting go of the illusion that your love, your care, or your sacrifices will inspire someone else to transform into who you want them to be. The truth is, most people, then included, are not inherently bad. They are just at different stages of their personal evolution. But just because someone has potential does not mean it is your responsibility to nurture it, especially at the cost of your own. People evolve when they are ready, when they make the conscious choice to grow. Your job is not to serve as their life coach, therapist, or fixer. Your job is to honor where they are right now and decide whether or not that is enough for you. Too many women try to save people, especially the ones they love. They see potential, and they want to be the catalyst for that growth. They believe that by sticking around, by giving more, by being patient and understanding, they can help the person become the best version of themselves. And while that sounds noble, it often leads to frustration, disappointment, and resentment. The reality is you cannot heal someone else's wounds, fix their brokenness, or complete their journey. It is not your burden to bear. And the more you try to carry that weight, the further you drift away from your own sense of peace. Choosing peace over potential requires you to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you staying because you genuinely believe in someone's growth? Or are you staying because you're afraid to let go of the dream? Are you waiting for the perfect version of someone to arrive? Someone who fits the ideal you've constructed in your mind? Or are you willing to face the truth of who they are today without the filter of hope or wishful thinking? This doesn't mean you should settle for less than you deserve. It means you stop waiting for something to magically change and start embracing what is. It's about finding peace in the present, even if the potential is exciting but unfulfilled. It's about choosing your emotional well-being over the anxiety of waiting for something that may never come. And it's about walking away when you realize that no matter how much you care, peace cannot be found in a situation that continuously pulls you into emotional chaos. When you make the decision to choose peace, you stop tolerating behaviors, actions, or relationships that keep you constantly in a state of uncertainty. You stop tolerating inconsistency. You stop tolerating emotional manipulation. You stop tolerating excuses. And you stop tolerating people who do not show up as their best selves, who do not put in the effort, or who do not align with your values. Choosing peace doesn't mean you're giving up on love. It means you're choosing to love yourself enough to know when to walk away from something that disrupts your peace. Think about this. What good is a relationship, a job, or a friendship if it leaves you emotionally exhausted, always on edge, waiting for the other person to become who you need them to be? Peace is not about controlling others or waiting for them to change. It's about making the conscious decision to live in a space where you are emotionally balanced, mentally clear, and spiritually fulfilled. When you choose peace, you prioritize your boundaries. You recognize that a lack of peace is an indication that something is out of alignment, whether it's a relationship, a work situation, or even a family dynamic. If it brings more stress than it does joy, more uncertainty than it does security, more anxiety than it does calm, then it's time to reassess. Peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without peace, nothing else truly matters, because every aspect of your life will be overshadowed by inner turmoil. When you choose peace, you also choose freedom. You are free from the mental burden of waiting for someone to change. You are free from the emotional drain of unrequited effort. And most importantly, you are free to align yourself with people, situations, and experiences that truly bring you joy, fulfillment, and contentment. You give yourself permission to thrive, not in spite of your circumstances, but because of your unwavering commitment to your peace. In the end, choosing peace over potential is a declaration of self-worth. It's recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and stability right now, not in some distant future. And when you align yourself with peace, you create space for the right people, the right opportunities, and the right relationships. Ones that won't require you to compromise your mental or emotional health for the sake of potential. I choose peace over potential. And in that choice, you unlock the life you deserve. I know who I am. Do you? This phrase, simple yet profound, serves as both a statement of self-assurance and a challenge to the world around you. It's not a boast, nor is it an arrogant proclamation. It's an invitation to clarity, to authenticity, and to self. To say, I know who I am, is to stand firmly in your identity with all your strengths, weaknesses, passions, and boundaries. It means you are no longer wandering in search of validation, approval, or identity from external sources. You are anchored in your own truth. For too long, many women have been conditioned to question their worth. They've been taught that their value comes from external validation, how they look, how they make others feel, how they perform in relationships, how well they meet societal expectations. They've been conditioned to seek approval from others, constantly wondering if they are enough, if they measure up, if they are loved or desired in the way they deserve. But when you know who you are, none of this matters in the same way. You stop seeking approval because you already have it from the most important source. Knowing who you are is about self-awareness. It's about understanding your values, your desires, your needs, and your boundaries. It's about recognizing your worth, not in comparison to others, but as an intrinsic part of who you are as a human being. When you know yourself, you stop allowing anyone to define you. You stop relying on someone else's perception of you for your self-esteem. This isn't to say you disregard constructive feedback or ignore the opinions of those you respect, but you develop an internal compass that guides you through the noise of the world. When you truly know who you are, you also understand your power. You recognize that your energy, your presence, your decisions, and your voice carry weight. You begin to realize that what you choose to tolerate, that what you choose to accept, and who you choose to allow into your life are all reflections of how deeply you understand your own worth. You stop shrinking yourself for comfort or validation, and you stop dimming your light. Knowing who you are means you walk into any room, any relationship, any challenge with the quiet confidence that you are exactly who you're meant to be, and anyone who enters your space must meet you at that level. It's important to understand that knowing who you are is a journey, not a destination. It's something that deepens with time, experience, and reflection. It's not a static understanding. You evolve as you grow, but your sense of self is the foundation upon which all your choices are built. When life throws challenges at you, when relationships shift, when you're faced with tough decisions, your knowing of who you are will act as your anchor. It will help you stay grounded and centered in the midst of uncertainty. But equally important to knowing who you are is understanding that not everyone will resonate with that version of you. And that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's vital to understand that not everyone deserves access to the full unapologetic version of yourself. When you say, do you, you're not just asking a rhetorical question. You're challenging others to meet you where you are. It's a call for mutual respect. It's about being clear that you are not willing to compromise on your truth to fit into someone else's narrative. This is particularly true in relationships. So often women find themselves in situations where they are continuously molding, adjusting, and reshaping themselves to fit the expectations of others, especially in romantic relations. They suppress parts of themselves for the sake of compatibility, adjust their personality or desires to avoid conflict, or silence their needs for fear of being perceived as too demanding. But the moment you truly know who you are, you stop making these compromises. You stop playing small. You stop trying to fit into someone else's mold. You create space for a love that is built on mutual understanding, respect, and a shared sense of self-knowledge. Asking, do you know who you are, is also a challenge to the people around you. It's a call for them to show up as their authentic selves without pretenses, masks, or games. If someone wants to be a part of your life, they must be willing to step into their truth as well. You will no longer entertain half-truths, projections, or false identities. You will only allow those who are comfortable in their own skin to share their space with you. And this, in turn, creates a deeper level of connection and intimacy. When two people who are both grounded in their own identity come together, they create a partnership that is based on equality, mutual respect, and genuine understanding, not based on the illusion of what they think the other person wants them to be. The beauty of knowing who you are is that it allows you to be free from the opinions of others, free from societal pressures, free from the need to please. When you are solid in your identity, you begin to show up in the world fully as yourself. You're no longer confined by expectations. You live life on your terms, and that energy is magnetic. People can feel it. They sense your confidence. They respect your clarity. They see your peace. And that's when the right people start showing up, the ones who can meet you at your level, the ones who can celebrate you for who you are, not for who they wish you would be. So the next time you stand in front of a mirror, ask yourself, do I know who I am? If the answer is yes, then walk forward with pride. Because the moment you fully understand your worth, your power, and your place in the world, you become unstoppable. And the world will respond to that strength.